everyone, today I am really excited about this video. It's kind of going to be the start of a little mini-series, or not mini-series, it'll probably be a long series, on my channel that I've been wanting to start for a really long time. It's just these videos are really extremely time consuming. I realize that was redundant. And so it's hard to like be able to sit down and really make it, but I've just had a lot going on and I was like, you know what, it's time to play with some makeup. I'm going to have to remove myself from some science for a second. So I talk about this palette all the time. It was limited edition. You can no longer get it unless you see it at like blog sales or stuff, which I do feel like this one is kind of common in blog sales or like Instagram sales or whatnot. And it's the Kat Von D Esperanza palette. I adore this palette. You can tell probably that most of these shadows do have some significant dips in them. And I just love it. I realize that it's a lot of color, and when I first bought it, I was kind of just like an impulse buy, and I was just like, what am I going to do with this? But I use it all the time. It's one of my favorites. So what I have done is charge myself with finding dupes for all of these colors. Now, Kat Von D prides herself in having really unique shades, and from looking through my semi-extensive makeup collection, I will agree. However, I have found dupes for each one of these shadows. Now, when I say dupes, I'm not saying drugstore dupes. I know that some people might not like that, but my thinking is, I don't know what you have in your palette, in your shadow collection, makeup collection, whatever. So I might be duping one of these shadows with another shadow from another palette that's actually more expensive than this was, but maybe you already have that palette. I don't know. So I just looked through everything I had and I found what was similar. Turns out, all of these are higher end palettes that I'm duping with, so I didn't find any like drugstore dupes. But you might already have it. I also figure if you're like me, and sometimes you buy a palette because of one shadow. Like let's say this Selena shadow, this purple one, it's just caught your eye and you're like, I could probably do without the other 7, but this one shadow I need. Well, you know, maybe you can find something else that's like this. And I am duping what's in here with some palettes that are no longer available as well, that are limited edition. Again, I don't know what you have in your collection. I'm just telling you, this is what I've got and this is what's the same. So I was thinking about going through shadow by shadow. I don't know, do you think that would be easier? Maybe it would be. Let's try to do that. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and do the Selena shadow that I mentioned, which again is this beautiful, like mid-tone purple with some blue glitter in it. So there it is. Extremely pigmented, extremely pretty. I found a dupe for that in my Sephora. What is this? It's the Minnie Mouse collection. Minnie's World of Color or something like that. I don't know, but it's the Minnie Mouse palette. Right here. I have done a full review of this palette. If you're interested, I'll link that below. And the shade Mickey's Squeeze is the same. The exact same. Look at that. The exact same shadow. So that was really exciting. I do try to find exact dupes. However, I am aware, as I'm sure y'all are as well, that on the eyes, even if it's not the exact same, it probably will look the same. So you don't really have to find the exact dupe, but I really tried to find the exact dupe. As far as, I didn't find any other dupes for this in this palette, so we're going to just put this to the side. Next, I have Santeria. This one was very hard, and I think my dupe is pretty exact. So this is this really cool, like, greeny gray with some blue glitter in it. Yeah, I like that a lot. And the dupe that I found is from my Alice in Wonderland, Urban Decay Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass palette. Again, I realize that this is a limited edition palette, but hey, maybe you bought it. I don't know. And what I found is very similar is the shade Time, which is right here. I've also done a full review of this palette, which I'll link below as well, in case you're like, girl, I need to see some more swatches. Time is maybe a little more blue, but they're very similar. Now, I don't know, maybe they're not the exact same. Ooh, that's agitating. I think they're not the exact same, but they're really similar. Oh, I thought I found exact dupes for all of them. Poop stains. Well, that's the closest dupe I found in my collection then. Sorry about that, guys. That's agitating. So next, I have the shade Dayglo, which this is one of her Transformers shadows. So she says, you know, you can put other things on top of it. It's right there. It's like a really pretty, like, greeny shade. I found one of the dupes, I found a couple of dupes for this shadow, actually, is from, this is my Buxom's Pastel Persuasion palette. The shade Room Service. Oh, gosh. Which is this green right here. Dupe. Slightly more green. But dupe. And then the other dupe I found, I feel like they look a little more different on camera than they do in real life. Like, I feel like the Santeria and the Mickey Squeeze look a little different, but they don't in real life. Oh, this is kind of agitating. I spent a lot of time looking for these, but that's okay. Even if they're not exact, like I said, they're probably going to be really close on the eye, and I think they're pretty great. So, I'm just going. My next dupe, and my second and last dupe, yeah, for Archangel, sorry, for Dayglo, is from the Smashbox Masterclass Volume 4. It's the Art Love Color. It's a really good palette. Also done a full review of this palette, which I'll link below. And it's this shade, which is called C, which is kind of powdery. I'm going to have to get some more. It's a little powdery. It definitely doesn't have the same formulation as Dayglo. But there you go. You can see they're very, very similar. I think Dayglo is, C is actually probably a little bit of a closer dupe to Dayglo than the Room Service from Buxom. Alright. And again, obviously dupes work both ways. So if you were like, oh, I really wanted that C color and you can't get this palette anymore, but you find this palette, you know, it works both ways. Next, we have the shade Archangel, which is, I didn't think it was that unique, but again, looking through my, let's be honest, rather extensive palette collection, I do think that I was just further reassured that Kat Von D has some really unique shadows, because it was really hard to dupe a lot of these. So I pulled out my Sephora Pantone Uninerse palette. This is the Modern Watercolors. It is still available. I do have a review of this as well. And the shade I found is, so the Dayglo Archangel is like a really pretty seafoam, and it's got some like multi-dimensional glitter, but I find that on the eyes it really looks matte. And the shade that I'm actually duping it for is the shade 125-808, which is matte. So, I don't know. But look at that. I mean, it's pretty much the exact same shade. So there we go. That's half palette duped. I really worked hard to find them, so I hope that y'all are enjoying it. Wait a minute. No, it's not going to be a dupe. I just saw, no, never mind. I saw something else that I thought might actually be a dupe for Santeria, but it's not going to be. So that's all I have in this palette. Now we're going to go on to the shade Galore, which is, again, some of these shades, I know I loved them, but I didn't think they were that unique. But looking through my palettes, they really are. It's this really pretty, like, metallic-y orange. And I actually found a dupe for that. Whoopsies. From one of my other favorite palettes, which was a limited edition palette, but as far as I'm aware, at the filming of this video, it is still available on Sephora's website. And it's the Too Faced Sugar Pop palette. Love this palette. You can see it's also got a lot of wear on it. And the shade Peach Fuzz. It's a little lighter. Not quite as orange. But yeah. Again, it's looking a little more different on camera. And Peach Fuzz is a matte with glitter, and Galore is just a shimmer. But there we go. Next, I have the shade South, which is kind of a traditional blending shade, but it's got some depth and some pink in it. So, this was a hard one to find. think I thought not Naked. Alabaster from that Smashbox palette. Yeah. From, again, the same Smashbox, Peace, Love, Art, what is it? Art, Love, Color. It's not quite as pink. It's right there. I also have the Smashbox Masterclass Volume 3 palette. And the shade Naked. Which is right here, I think. I don't know if I've done a review of this palette or not. I don't know. Maybe I have. I'll look for it if it's there. And I think that's actually really a better. It's got a lot more of the pink that you find in South, so I think that's probably a better dupe. And last is the shade Nude from my Anastasia Beverly Hills Maya palette. I have done a review of this as well. So the shade Nude, which doesn't give off a lot of color, but it's right here. So you can see it's the same. It's not as pigmented, but it's the same tone in the same everything. So there's that. So let me, actually I'll go over here. So then I have the shade Placebo, which looks really red in the pan, but it's really kind of more like a matte pinky shade. And I didn't find any eyeshadows that really match that. So I went on to my blushes. The NYX, so I do have one drugstore dupe. The NYX Rouge Cream Blush. This is actually a cream. In the shade Natural. What? It doesn't look like a dupe on camera at all. It's a little more mauve, but it's almost the exact same in person. Oh, that's disappointing. Also, the Sorme Blush and Bronzer Duo in the shade 806 Sunshine. Right there. It also looks a lot more mauve on camera, but in person it's pretty close. I feel kind of agitated because I thought when I was doing it, and I know the lights changed a little bit because I do use natural light, they were all perfect, but that's pretty close. And the last shade is Dog Roses, which is this really pretty high shine metallic coppery brown. So I found from the Sonia Kashuk quad the Monochrome Eye Quad in Textured Cocoa number 11. This shade, the metallic shade. Look at that. It's slightly more brown and less copper, but it's very, very close. And again, from the Too Faced Sugar Pop palette, which I do have a review on. I don't think I mentioned that previously. The shade Malted Milk Ball. Oh, sorry, I'm swatching over here. Look at that. Exact same. So, I worked really hard on this. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. I know sometimes it can get agitating when people say they're dupes and they're not the exact same. But I think these are all very, very similar, if not the exact same. So I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is one of my favorite palettes. I always say if you see this in a blog sale, I highly recommend you picking it up. If you would like to see me try to dupe out other palettes that I own or other things, please go ahead and let me know. I really enjoyed this video. It was a lot of work, but I think it's fun and I think it's helpful because I know one of the things that I think about a lot is I have a lot of eyeshadow. I have a lot of makeup in general, but eyeshadow specifically because it's my favorite. And when I want to get a new palette, I kind of have to be like, I have so much. Is it really unique? Do I really not have something that's the same? So this kind of helped me show that I do have a lot of dupes for things, even that I think are super unique. And if they're not exact dupes, they're really, really close. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know the next thing you want me to dupe or video you want to see or anything like that. And I will see y'all real soon. Bye.